Hi everybody. So I'm trying something a little bit different here, and I'm going to apologize first off for any handling noise you hear. Every time I hit my clicker here, the microphone seems to pick it up, and I can't seem to figure out how to turn that off or make it quieter. So I do apologize in advance for that. Um, Now, this project came about because I was talking to my sister, and we were talking about possibly, developing our own tarot and what we would do. And we were talking about different franchises like Lord of the Rings or Buffy that already have tarot cards, tarot decks. And I jokingly threw out Degrassi, and she rolled her eyes and thought that was stupid because, okay, I'm sure it's probably a stupid idea. But the more I think about it, the more I think, yeah, there are a lot of moments in Degrassi that could be tied to a tarot reading. And I rewatched the first season episode Cabaret, and Terry even spends a little bit of time playing around with the tarot deck. So it's a little bit of fortuitousness, I guess you could call it. And also, why not? Um, Degrassi is a very popular, very long running series, and I'll show my age here by saying that I'm an old school Degrassi watcher from the very first days. I'm close to the same age. Oh, where does the time go? Of the original Degrassi cast. So when School's Out aired, I was in grade 12 myself, and I remember talking about it in music class, and my friend Rich just thought it was he said it was obscene. He was absolutely shocked by the content and the where they went with the first Degrassi season, and that snake, what do you call it, that snake, famous words. He's the only person to have said the F word on Canadian television in prime time, right? So, um, when Degrassi started, I didn't have a TV for a long time, so I didn't actually get caught up till about 2007, which is probably one of the reasons that you'll see a lot more emphasis on seasons probably 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I also really think that the show kind of hit its stride at that point. So the ground rules are I'm going to stick strictly to the major arcana. Yes, there are lots and lots of episodes and scenes that have minor arcana moments that you could apply, but I think, and because all of the characters are on the sort of the journey to making choices and dealing with consequences and growing up, there's a lot of different things that you could apply. But I'm going to stick to the major arcana, and I'm going to stick to the first 7 seasons of Degrassi, seasons 1 through 7, for the examples that I use in this. Mostly because, there's so much lore and archetypal characters and so much information to draw from that this this video would be a million years long if I did that. Um, so we're just going to jump in with both feet. And yeah, so how does Degrassi apply to the tarot? Well, as I said, the characters are largely archetypal. Each of them is on sort of a journey, and each of them has moments that would apply to what's going on in the tarot deck. And in season 1, we have the cabaret episode where Terry discovers tarot cards, and she does a couple of readings. So I thought, why not? Why not look at the Tarot of Degrassi? So the first card in the deck is the Fool, and the Fool represents beginning a journey. The Fool is a carefree young person, more than a little bit green, more than a little naive. They don't always look where they leap, and it can also represent making uninformed decisions. And for the sake of not just the tarot, but also the beginning of the series, our Fool is Emma Nelson. Now, as you know, if you're a Degrassi fan familiar with the lore, when they were originally deciding what to do with Degrassi, they realized that Emma, who was born during the first series through in Degrassi High, when Spike was 14, I think she was 14 when she had her, she would be about of an age to start at Degrassi, and that was kind of where the seed of the series took off. But Emma has energy of the Fool in more than just that she's young and naive and she's the protagonist and she's on a journey. She has all of the qualities of the Fool. She's learning new things. She's making sometimes poor decisions, and this picture that we have of her is from the first episode, Mother and Child Reunion, wherein she goes and meets her online crush, and it turns out very bad indeed. So next we have the Magician, and the Magician represents a very skilled person. And I chose Toby for this card. Now, Toby is everybody's sidekick, but he's skilled with computers, he's a really good student, and he is always kind of there when the schemes happen. And yeah, sometimes when the schemes screw up, the reverse card can also mean trickery or untrustworthiness. No, I don't think he's untrustworthy, but I think that his insecurity gets in the way of being all of the, being as skilled or as good at what he does. He's even described during Parents' Night as one of those kids who are kind of brilliant but lazy. And he does eventually get more confident in himself, and you can see in this picture here where this is his last appearance this is actually season 8 when he hosts the Robot Wars. He's surrounded by girlies, and he really gives off that magician energy. So the next card, and here's Terry choosing the cards, which is kind of fun. I just found it kind of funny. She does a reading during Cabaret, and for Ashley, she pulls the High Priestess. And I thought that Ashley was a good representation of the High Priestess. The High Priestess energy is largely intuitive. Ash can be kind of selfish. She can be insecure. But when she is at her best is when she figures out something that her friends maybe aren't telling her. For example, when Paige is attacked, or when she figures out the relationship between Craig and his dad, or that Craig's sick. She is a very intuitive character. And the High Priestess is also about balancing the light and the dark sides of your personality, which Ash goes through as she is sort of deciding how to project herself and sort out, how she wants to dress, the things she likes, how strong to stand up when she's in a band, and other traits of the High Priestess. So I thought Ash was a really good representation of this card. Now, next we have the Empress, and the Empress is feminine energy in a slightly different way than the High Priestess is. The High Priestess is about knowledge and intuition, whereas the Empress is about fertility and sensuality. And of course, one of the most popular feminine characters on the show is Manny Santos. And fertility, she does unfortunately get pregnant in the 3rd season, has an abortion, which created quite a ruckus in the States, apparently. And she's at her best when she's performing, so she's a very creative person. And she's everybody's great best friend. I mean, I always wished I had a friend like Manny in high school. And she nurtures and cares deeply for her friends and her family. So Manny is the perfect embodiment of the Empress card in the tarot. Now, the next up, we have the Emperor, who is an older masculine character. And I'll give this one to Archie Snake Simpson, who's the media arts teacher at Degrassi, and he later becomes principal in, I believe it's the 10th season. Now he has his own journey and his storylines, but over everything is the way that he cares for his students. He guides them firmly. He disciplines them when needed. Um, and he just represents this sort of ultimate dad figure. He's a little stodgy, but he's very much the masculine heart of the show. So I'm going to take a break before this gets too long, and I will be back with the next step in the tarot. I hope you're enjoying it so far. We've got a long journey ahead of us.